Welcome to another CEO Wisdom Pod. We have my friend Dan Meursing on the pod today. It's our second edition, and Dan is the CEO of various companies, premierstaff.com. If you want to staff your events in the fancy areas like LA and NYC and so forth. Also does AI SEO and a bunch of growth hacking stuff. Top guy, great entrepreneur. Became a friend after being a client. We chilled here in Oaxaca, which was great. And Dan just asked me ideas that I have for this year. So let us start with this. And I want your feedback on all of these, Dan. Let's test your memories because there's 5 of them. Well, the first one, it's no surprise, like monetizing my hit channel on YouTube. So 15 minutes hit, redirecting that to preventivemedicinelab.com, which is longevity as a service, high ticket service. So the front end will be these YouTube videos, follow along hits and weight workout that I'm doing as part of my bodybuilding anyway nowadays. That's one. 2, it's since I'm eating a lot as a bodybuilder right now, just filming my cooking stuff, but it's like 27-second recipes. There's a lot of competition. But yeah, that will be at the front end again for my longevity stuff. And then 3 agency ideas. One is a LinkedIn agency idea, content, AI comments, and outreach. That I'm already building the website. And yeah, let's just start with that because the 4th and 5th one are not too good. So what do you think about these?
Yeah, as far as the AI for LinkedIn, I actually currently use a software for outreach.
Yeah.
And it automatically sends like you can create the sequence basically. The way I like to start is view profile.
Okay. Why view profile?
Just because people start saying like, oh, who's looking at my profile? I might,
But do people actually look at who's looking at their profile?
I don't know, but I like to just do that as like a soft intro, and then like the next, and then I'll have it view the profile again the next day in case if some people are on it.
Yeah.
And then just like, oh, who's looking at my profile, and then likes the comment, and then sends friend request. And then with that friend request, there's a message.
Yep.
And then I set up, another, if they don't respond within a day, view profile, like another thing. As soon as they accept you, I have it like endorse it, like usually a day.
The skills, right? Like
I endorse a skill, and I'll endorse a skill 1 day later. So it looks a little bit more organic. So that way, if they replied my initial message, I have at least a day to respond back. And so, because basically, if they don't respond to your message, you endorsing their skills, continue to engage with their profile. They're like, who the hell is this guy? And just, I kind of like, you're like, what's going on here? Like,
yeah.
All right.
What's the app that you're using?
It's called Closely. And
yeah, I know Closely.
I've actually, but just by having the sequence, again, I haven't A/B tested really, but I'm also the CEO of a staff agency that's nationwide now. And so we get a we get about 50% acceptance rate of all just a little bit over. And then we get a little bit over, like maybe 52% reply rate on average. And this is like,
whoa,
we've tested it on a couple hundred people. And so it's like very high results. So if you have, basically the numbers are, if you have a list of 1,000 people, obviously you're relevant people, 250 of them should reply to me. Like that's kind of like the numbers there.
Yeah, that's crazy. Like you and I were doing cold email outreach, and we know that cold email outreach suffered real bad this year. And yeah, I'm back on LinkedIn too. I don't have these numbers. It's probably lower than that, but it's pretty crazy because yeah, with Wallaxy, I use Wallaxy instead of Closely, and sending out like 30 connects a day. And first message campaigns, I'm sending like 200 messages a day. Still using the podcast funnel, which is really successful, but all kinds of offers, right? Like, hey, I have this webinar, hey, I have this ebook, and I have this masterclass, and I'm testing out all these offers. So that's working pretty well. Are you also doing like first messaging? And what do you think about the LinkedIn agency stuff? Do you think it can be offered as a service successfully with all these other LinkedIn agencies?
Yeah, I think the component for the LinkedIn portion, the first I like the idea of having like AI response. There's already like softwares out there for like Google review response, like automating responses for that. Because LinkedIn also has a sales score, like it scores your profile, and then based on your score from 0 to 100 dictates how many people you're actually able to reach out to without you being flagged. So you have to be careful with these AI things as well, because you get flagged. So if you have a software that's also engaging with people and encouraging dialogue, then that also adds to your score as like, oh, you're a thought leader, you're engaging with people, you also want to create engaging type posts, and you want to make sure the people you do reach out to are actually relevant to your industry. And then that's like, it tells you can go on LinkedIn and type in sales score, and then it'll tell you like exactly what it entails. So I like the idea of that, adding that, because none of them have that. The only thing is LinkedIn does not like integrations. It does not like integrations, so it can actually be
dangerous.
It can be flagged. Yeah, it can be flagged. So
Yeah.
you have to be careful. You have to figure out what the rules are there, because like I know my account got a notification when I was using Closely, and just like, so I just had to throttle my. You want to increase your sales score before you continue to increase the amount of people you reach out to every single day.
Yeah. I think I got that real up because I stopped doing much outreach for like a year or two. I was doing some part of it with Apollo, the non-scalable rate, right? Like the click the extension way and just go for your dinner break or something. So what do you feel is your sales scores on on the app that you're using? Like, and how many connects can you do on a daily basis? I can do probably like 30.
Yeah, I was doing, I think 20 to 30 per day. So I actually paused my outreach because I want to increase my sales score, because I don't want to risk losing my account, right? Like your LinkedIn account is very valuable. Like I have all the connections of people in the industry that know me. I don't want to start at 0 again. So I actually chose to take a pause using my team's accounts now. And they don't get as high of a reply rate, but they still get replies. And I'm just throttling it. So I'm just playing it safe. LinkedIn, you want to play it safe. And then basically focus on increasing your score first, and then go big on the outreach. And then once you have a high score, you can actually continue to increase even 50 per day. I think there's people that do like 80 a day, but these are people that are like their whole life's on LinkedIn. Like they just nonstop on LinkedIn. They have the high sales score and stuff. So LinkedIn doesn't really flag them because they're like leaving.
So how do you increase your score? By responding to comments, producing great content that people like, right?
That's one way. Here, I'm just going to type in LinkedIn sales score. And there's the social selling index. That's what it's called. It's on LinkedIn, linkedin.com, the social selling index.
Okay.
And there's a whole webpage on it that kind of explains it. And so you basically want to establish a professional brand, find the right people, engage with insights, and build relationships.
Yeah.
Actually, it actually tells you right here on that page. Social selling leaders get better results. Yeah,
I'm not sure how long they'll allow like the AI comments, right? Like that can be pretty tricky. But I also think that this can improve your social selling score, ironically, because you're being out there, right? And you're creating interactions. And I was talking to a client, a prospect this morning, and it's like, yeah, I can get banned. I've been banned before, right? Like I had my profile canceled for a couple of days, but they won't put me out altogether. Why? Because I'm not toxic for LinkedIn. You know, I'm not like a social terrorist that will do like nasty things and really damage the platforms. I will actually have a bunch of people visit LinkedIn because of me. Maybe even some will sign up because of me, because all the content that I put in there. So that's my thesis with getting banned. And I know that if I get like in the LinkedIn jail for a week or a couple of days, that they'll probably bring me back. But yeah, my LinkedIn's so valuable right now, like losing it would be pretty dramatic. So like as an entrepreneur, you need to measure the risks, you know, and sometimes go a bit slower, because the AI agency, it's like content, AI comments, and outreach, right? It's all the three. What about your LinkedIn content? Like, how do you make sure that you get views on that and get growth from it?
You know, we actually just created a plan this month. So it's actually, I'm actually looking to, as I said, this actually happened very recently. I paused my outreach a month ago. We're creating a content plan, and now I want to start posting and engaging with the community because, as you mentioned, I think that's actually what adds value. If you're adding value to LinkedIn, I think you have a higher chance of not getting banned. But I also have read that some people do get banned, but I'm assuming is like LinkedIn. The reason why it has high results is because they have this whole policy, right? Like people can't abuse it, and you can only like, and even if you choose to abuse it, you're still like limited. You're only sending out, maybe 100 to 150 outreaches per week, versus emails, you get to the thousands, right? You get abused. And that's why also that's why they took a huge hit. So eventually everyone catches onto the bandwagon, they start abusing it, and then there's corrections. Well, LinkedIn's already preventing all that. I think they've already went through that. And so that's why I also get these 25% reply rates. So, it's like if I think if you have the software that's creating all this content and is engaging with the community, that would be super helpful. I'm interested to see how that works. But otherwise, I think the solution is actually just hiring like a VA to like go and like, you give them the list of people and then just follow the exact sequence that you create anyways, right? Like you make it simple for them. And then you pay, it's cost effective and you prevent yourself from getting banned, hopefully, because it's human. It's not an AI doing the same exact thing every single time in the same exact timing. So it's harder to catch, I feel.
I hate VAs. Didn't you have a VA recruiting business?
No. I considered going down that path, but no.
Yeah,
I'm a staffing agency, so of course I considered it, but it's not. I also think they're going to go out of with AI agents. It's kind of replaces the whole concept of VAs.
Yes. And when will you actually hire Elon bots? What does he call them? Megatrons or Optimus to work for you as staffing people?
Yeah, that's another good question. So it's going to take time. I think the business model is, OpenAI, Tesla, what is the X platform, Grok,
yes,
right? Like all these AIs, like they're creating the foundation, right? They're creating it's like creating Instagram. Well, it's not Instagram that brings in all this money. It's all the influencers that are creating content on Instagram, right? So these people are like,
platform.
These people are the platforms. So there's gonna be businesses like maybe training the robots in the AI to actually create a luxury experience for the guests. And then you're just gonna like rent these robots using your software and you upload your training module, and then that's like your business now. But it's gonna change and adapt. We still train our humans, right? So it's just like I think that's where the business is gonna go once the robots come in. So we're not there yet. They're not providing great service yet, but I do see that coming. And honestly, there'll probably be a lot of startups actually. Once people feel more confident that it's not going to be Tesla robots that are going to be taking over every single business, that it's actually going to be businesses utilizing these robots to take over their industries, then I think that's when you'll see a lot of startups and a lot of money being raised to actually build this.
Yeah, it's like the App Store mentality, right? They're the first mover, but they are the most gigantic companies in the world. And me, ideally, that's what I would want to build. That's the moonshot I'd like to partake in, right? Like a billion or $1 trillion company. So what are your goals for 2025? And what's your philosophy with like moonshots? Like, do you want to build such a behemoth one day?
Not necessarily, not in the staffing industry. My
That
goal
would be fucking hell.
My goal is to double our revenue in the first quarter. We've been building a lot of infrastructure. We've rebuilt a lot of things. We had some talent changes as well this past year, and everyone's up to speed now. So now the first quarter is fully focused on driving revenue. And once that happens, once we hit this goal, I'm going to start basically shifting and transferring a lot of responsibilities that I have over to my team. And I'm going to be offering them equity in the company that's going to be vested over 5 years because I want them to continue growing the company. I'll still be the CEO. I'll still be checking in with them, setting goals, setting clarity on the path. But I want my team to take responsibility and ownership of this company now, and they will get that. They will get ownership of the company, so that way they can continue growing this company. This is a family business to me now. My mom works for the company, my sisters work for the company, and Fernando has basically become family to us. And I basically just created an environment where our family, and I have like all these random cousins that I haven't seen in so many years, like second cousins or whatever. And they're like, oh, can I get a job? Blah, blah, blah. And so like, we're like literally employing like my family with part-time work, doing these fun, events where they can actually grow in their professional career. They can say they've worked at all these like crazy environments. Like after this podcast, I'm going to Cipriani's, right? Like a very fancy Italian, elegant restaurant. Like they're my clients now. We have an exclusive partnership with them here in Beverly Hills. And I'm going to go meet with them and discuss this upcoming year. We just signed a contract. And so like, these are like the type of things that we're doing. And the family gets to like really kind of grow themselves within this. My personal goal is to switch over and go into the VC route. It's just as, just because like say event staffing is much easier than building some complicated startup business, but they're both hard. They both take time. They both take all your energy. So you might as well go for the hard thing, the thing you actually want to do first, instead of like, I used to have to validate. I went down this path validating myself. Like, oh, I need to learn how to be a successful CEO first. Once I learn that, then I'll feel ready to do VC. But no, that's completely backwards. You actually want to go straight for the hard thing first. And the cool thing is when you're going after hard things first that everyone actually wants a solution for, you not only get people that will take risk, people know it's a risky business. Like Tesla was risky when they first started. SpaceX was extremely risky. But you also get people that are supportive and supporting you throughout the whole process because they want you to succeed. Even if it's hard, even though if it's high risk, they'll still want you to succeed. So you get the support. You're applying yourself regardless. Everything takes about 10 years now for it to actually become very successful. So it's like you might as well go after the hard thing first and stop trying to just validate yourself and justify like, oh no, I need to do this. I need to learn that, make money, $100 million first, make some money. And then once I have the money, then I can work on what I want.
Yeah. That's the moonshot mentality, right? As a friend, let me play the devil's advocate here. So family thesis, it's called like extended family, right? Like you've tried to work with Kel, I tried to work with Nadia. I think you still are successful at that. I wasn't working with my family, so that's interesting. Kudos to you for that. Second, the human thesis. Well, my opinions on that, but I know that you will scale with AI agents and so forth, and as soon as the opportunity will be there, you may take advantage of the AI revolution instead of hiring humans. Because that I tried that route, right, with my agencies, my 200 employees, and I said fuck it, and never been happier and richer since then. So that was pretty interesting. The moonshot, yes, 100%. The VC route, I mean, if you have that much cash, yes, but VC, in my opinion, it's mostly a looking game in which you look rich. And you don't need necessarily to become a VC to look rich. That's one. And second, it's just like 1 in 10 will pan out. Like most VCs do not make money. So, I mean, you're smart. We had this conversation about like what to invest in and so forth. I guess my number one advice when I'll take this route, because I'm bullish on investing, not becoming a full-time VC, is like softwares that we use, right? And we see that they're the shit and that they have growth potential. For example, Opus, right? For example, StreamYard that we're on right now. I'd invest in these companies. I know that they will pan out. That would be a fun thesis. But would that also be like your moonshot? Like I think we discussed, you and I, about at least a 100 million net worth you wanted back then, right? Is that what will bring you to that?
The first milestone was $40 million, but in 5 years, like that was the goal. And still is, actually. And I do know or believe the VC route gives you that chance. But again, the VC path is 10 years. It's like, it's a commitment.
Yeah.
We probably have 3 or 4 chances in our life to fully focus on 3 or 4 things for 10-year intervals in our lifetime. So like, you only have so many, so many tickets or tries at, to play this game. Yeah. So with capital, so I've built my business with zero capital, right? Like I had barely any money to my name, $4,000. I purchased my domain, premierstaff.com, and I built a business with it. So I've learned how to leverage everything else, from content to, collaborating with people, to creating automations, but I never had capital. I've always invested my own capital. I've always leveraged myself. And so it's like, I So having capital is a huge advantage. Startups need money to be successful. It's very costly. It's very costly, especially when you're taking on big problems. So I can continue on handling small problems without capital and build these businesses, or I can actually go after something I actually want to do and solve a big problem. But that's going to require capital. There's no way around it. If you want to solve something big, it's going to require capital. And that's why I want to go the VC route. It's not because I want to feed my ego and I got funding and millions of dollars. No, it's so I can actually solve something that I'm passionate about. Like, I love business. I love working. This is to me, working in business is like playing a game, playing a sport. It's so fun for me. So if I can have capital to help me solve, a more complex, more sophisticated sports game, I'm going to do it.
Yes. And there's a couple of interesting models in the VC game that you cannot get elsewhere. For example, first, betting on companies is fun, right? It's way more adrenaline producing than betting on poker, for example. That's one. Two, you get unique insights into these companies. They'll share their financials, and just the knowledge value of that is humongous, because then you can start some of these companies yourself. You can invest in more companies like that, and you have an information moat. So that's pretty cool. And the money leverage won't disappear even in the AI age. And then, because my counter to that was that, isn't it better to use AI tools on a daily basis and build AI company? Wouldn't that scale more and generate hundreds of millions, even billions, more than VC? But the counter to that is that VCs will use these AI tools, and you could even build an AI betting tool, right? In which you feed an AI all these criterias and be like, hey, should I invest in that one? And maybe even give it autonomy one day. That would be pretty fun.
Yeah. It needs to read and understand. Actually, there's already like rules that VCs follow, right? Even on how they judge the CEO and the founders, the co-founders, the team, the founding team, like how they judge that. And it's it sounds very harsh. A lot of the rules, they won't really be transparent with it. They'll find a kinder way of saying it, but there's specific traits that they're looking for, and it can sound harsh. But again, if you feed that AI to know what to look for, it would have to analyze humans as well and how they conduct themselves, how they speak, their plan, how well thought out it is.
Well, an AI interview, right? And then you retain that data. You're like, okay, we will interview you, but you retain that data. Then you forge a database, and you have that moat of having so many data and interviewing so many CEOs and founders and their company. And it's okay, yes, give us your P&L and all of that. It will remain private, but we will use it for an internal database to build off stats. I think that could be an interesting model. What's interesting to me in this market is pre-IPO companies, right? That are about to go IPOs and are pretty big. For example, there was Kraken. There's a bunch. There's Roblox. There's OpenAI. And there's Anthropic, right? So you invest in these companies pre-IPO. That seems pretty safe to me. And that's an interesting market. And I interviewed the CEO of Hive.com, which is a guy that built a platform to trade these pre-IPO companies. That's pretty exciting to me. Tech companies, that is.
Yeah, is that the site where they it's like the employees will assign or write an agreement that they will give them their stocks?
They can sell. They can go into liquid, and that's one of my 100 projects in next year. Have a partner for that, Sunny Ray. We're gonna sort of business broker these companies. So there's a crypto stock right now that we have, and the opportunity that we would get as brokers is at least $1 million in commission, right? Separated in two for, let's say, 20 to 50 hours of work, or 20 to 40 hours of work. So that's a nice 5 to 10K an hour when you think about it. So that's exciting. What were your victories for last year, personally as well? Because you've been biohacking, went to the gym together. What were your highlights of 2024? And did you use AI to analyze your 2024?
I always share with early entrepreneurs, the best thing you can do is invest in yourself before investing in anything else, in any company or anyone else. Invest in yourself first. I think Warren Buffett talks about this. A lot of people say that's right. And so I would say the biggest highlight of 2024 for me was actually learning more patience. Like shockingly, like
And did you succeed? Because I haven't succeeded yet in my personal life. That is.
yeah. So it translates. Not only is it helpful in my personal life, but also helps like in business actually, and how I speak with my team, how I check in with them. They feel more appreciated. Like, and it translates to actually higher results. So like learning patience is it's so valuable, and I feel like it's a transition from like being a boy. Like you see pack of wolves, like the alpha wolf is in the back of the pack. The young ones are like full of energy. They're running around. They're like scoping, smelling, and they're in the front. They're full of energy. They're just antsy. The alpha is in the back. He's calm, collected. And this kind of translates to humans as well. We always see like an old wise man is very successful. It's rare that they're actually high energy and like still impatient and explosive. They're not. They're collected. They're calm. They've learned that, and that's actually very valuable. And now people trust them because they have this calmness to them. So that's how I think patience will translate in the business world, and it's just like the sense of like you just come across as wise as well. So my girlfriend actually helped me with this significantly. Taking those, being vulnerable in your personal life, and because to grow, to have growth, self-growth, you need to be honest and transparent with yourself first. Be vulnerable, which is the hardest things for humans, is to feel vulnerable, and then actually acknowledge it, and then actually decide to be proactive to change it. So I feel like that's probably been my greatest accomplishment this year. I've had the most stressful period, 4-month period in business in my entire life. And it's with, these two individuals that were on my full-time salary. They were well taken care of in my company, and they chose to, while on payroll for 6 months, clone my company, continue taking and learning everything, including them in consulting calls, learning all the things that we're going to start working on. And they're literally just taking all this information and in real time implementing it into this business that they're building. So for 6 months, they're on my salary, stealing from me. And also our sales were the lowest during that time period in 3 years. We've been growing, we grew, and then we dropped actually worse in the first year. So it's just, it was a very stressful period when this all happened, and it unfolded. And actually, I think I met you. That's when I went to Hawaii. Actually, it was a 4-month period of very high stress. And so, through all of that, I've also had a lot of opportunities to learn patience and calmness. And I feel that has helped me so much. It's helped me so much. So I would say that's the biggest highlight.
Yeah, and you and I talked about that. That also happened to me in some shape and form, right? Like less intense, but I had like pretty big drama in my companies, which is one reason why, one strong reason, a top 5 why I'm not hiring humans anymore. I had people blackmailing me, right, like out of my social accounts and so forth, people that worked for me. So the people lose their shit nowadays, and you felt that stress, but they probably had that stress in their lives as well, which is probably why they did it to you. But kudos to you for getting through that, and hope that the hiking and the gym together helped with this. Put your shoes back on, Dan. Put your shirt back on at the gym. That was pretty funny. What are you bullish on, generally speaking, for next year? Communities, LinkedIn, newsletter. Like we talked about a couple of growth hacks. Like what secret fucking weapon are you working on, and that you think will bring hyper growth to your businesses?
So there's 3 aspects, right? There's in business, there's like lead generation, conversions, converting the leads into clients, and then you're like your service or product that you offer. Like, that's kind of how I look at it. And so I have like what I'm bullish on is actually focusing on the service and product this year. In the past, I focused on conversions, I focused on lead generation, but it's like actually the wrong focus. The main focus should be, and will be for 2025, will be the actual service we offer. Our goal, I have one person, his name is Fernando. He's fully responsible for making sure every single client is blown away. That's his only responsibility, or I'm sorry, his only priority. Obviously, there's a lot that encompasses a lot of different things, but if he's blown away every client, that means all those clients will come back And so this it's a compound effect. And then not only will they come back, they'll continue to refer us. So it's a natural lead generation. You don't have to convert. You don't have to worry about conversions, because if you're referred and these clients are blown away and they're saying you have to hire Premier staff, there's no necessity for conversions. So I think really focusing on the product and or the service that you offer, and making sure that the clients are very happy with this and are just blown away by it, and you have these like diehard fans of your service and product, that is actually what I'm bullish on. So focusing on the actual product. I know your business, your service is actually like lead gen, right? Like that's a big thing that you do. And so like that is your business. So I guess your goal should be to make sure that in your business and your niche, because it's like focusing on this in the first part of the business, is making sure that clients that you're doing lead gen for are blown away with the amount of leads that they're bringing in, basically, that you're helping bring in. So again, I think if you've really focused on the product or service that you offer, instead of like all the technical stuff. Like I'm passionate about engineering stuff and creating automations, but I've been focusing on the wrong things. I've built great infrastructure because of it. But now that I have this infrastructure and we're only gonna be focusing on this now, I have no doubt that we're gonna be able to double our revenue this year. Like my goal is to get it there by the end of the first quarter. So just getting back to the basics, getting back to the basics. Oh, I can't hear you. Your mic's off, I think. You're mute now. I think you're on mute, but I think your mic might be on. Just you're on mute. I think you're good.
Okay. Yeah, the rep just arrived, so I'm gonna ask you a question, and you can answer it while I go down here get my bread for the new year. Will you travel as much? What kind of challenges will you impose on yourself for next year? How will you make sure to stay out of your comfort zone?
Well, how will I stay out of my comfort zone? So I've done the traveling thing. I've gone travel solo trips. I've done all of that already. I love it because it's like you are out of your comfort zone. I'll spend like a month in some random city. And I love that. I love it because it's like, we create a community where we live. And so everything becomes very comfortable and easy. So, the whole traveling and especially doing solo trips for periods of times, I think is an amazing thing to get out of your comfort zone. But I've done it. I actually enjoy it. So it's not really like out of my comfort zone if I enjoy being in that state. So what am I doing to get out of my comfort zone? As I mentioned, our focus is going into the basics of making sure our clients are blown away. So my focus to get, to actually accomplish this goal of doubling our revenue is going to be doing something. It's not my favorite thing to do. It's actually working with clients, doing sales calls and actually helping manage the teams and so forth. So it's like, I'm going to go back to the basics instead of building all the infrastructure, because we have the infrastructure now. So I'm actually stepping out of my comfort zone, not continuing to build and improve, and make these incremental improvements, and actually focus on the basics. So it's like, it feels like I'm kind of going backwards, like when I first started the company. So, but I think it's a necessity if I want to continue growing. As I mentioned, I learned that that's actually what allows us to have our growth compound. So that, and then going into the VC world, as I mentioned earlier as well, it's like I thought I had to be qualified to enter the VC world. I thought I had to actually prove myself before I could ask people for money, but that's not the case. If you have a good idea, you have a big enough market, and you're someone that's competent to actually just to continue to focus on that for 10 years and continue building it and the tenacity to do it, then you're ready, right? That's my opinion. So, and I am qualified. I've already started a business with zero capital and made it successful. So I just want to go tackle a big problem that's high risk and something that so that way I can focus on something I'm passionate about. But it's going to require me to go ask people for money. That's not something I'm used to. That's not something I'm naturally comfortable with. And having to work with other partners. I'm a single founder, right? So I'm used to not having any partners, anyone telling me what to do. So learning how to collaborate with people at a high, that are also partners, it's going to be very uncomfortable, especially at the beginning. But I'm going to have to learn it. If Elon Musk has to learn how to work with people, right? He couldn't build rockets that are launching, 10 to 100 times a year without having partnerships, at a high level that are also partners. So I think that's probably gonna be the biggest thing I'm gonna have to learn this year, is actually working with partners.
Love it, dude. Where can people find out more about you, Dan?
On LinkedIn. My LinkedIn is just LinkedIn dot, whatever there's, is it IN or something?
Yeah.
/ Daniel Meursing. And then also Instagram. I'm actually going to be posting a lot of stuff, a lot more content on social media. I think that's another way for lead generation, is just focusing on, creating content for your community. It's not focusing, trying to become an influencer and get millions of followers. If you want a good lead gen, is actually building the community. It's like LinkedIn's principles actually for increasing your sales scores, right? Like, engage with your community, create content for the community, add value to the community. And that is going to be naturally, you're going to create credibility and authority within that community. And that will naturally convert, not only generate leads, but also convert leads with very low effort.
Love it, dude. That was Daniel Meursing and Charles Cormier for another SEO Wisdom